A trilateral meeting will take place on Tuesday between Iran, China, and Russia to discuss Tehran's nuclear program and the risk of sanctions being reimposed, Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Esmail Baghai said on Monday. The meeting comes ahead of renewed nuclear talks with France, Germany, and the UK scheduled for this Friday in Istanbul.
بله همونطور که اعلام شد در یک مکانی غیر از اروپا در استانبول این نشست برگزار خواهد شد در سطح معاونان وزیر امور خارجه با حضور مسئول سیاست خارجی اتحادیه اروپایی در واقع معاون مسئول سیاست خارجی اتحادیه اروپایی. موضوع گفتگو هم روشن هست رفع تحریم ها و مباحث مربوط به برنامه هسته‌ای صلح‌آمیز ایران.
The three European powers, along with China and Russia, are the remaining parties to a 2015 nuclear deal that lifted sanctions on Iran in return for restrictions on its nuclear program. European countries have threatened to trigger the deal's snapback mechanism, which would allow sanctions to be reimposed in the case of non-compliance by Tehran. Baghai said Iran is, quote, continuously coordinating with Beijing and Moscow on how to prevent the mechanism. He also noted that there is no plan for talks with the U.S., which ended after a 12-day conflict waged by Israel and the U.S. against Iran last month.
Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev said that his country is planning to file international lawsuits against Russia. They are doing so with regards to the Azerbaijan Airlines flight that crashed in December last year. The plane was flying from Baku to Grozny when it crashed near the Kazakh city of Aktau, killing 38 people. An initial report revealed that a Russian missile caused the plane to crash. Speaking to local media, Aliyev said that despite it being, quote, clear as day that Russia shot down the plane, whether they intended to or not, Azerbaijan did not receive a meaningful response from Moscow.
We didn't get any answer from Russian officials about that, though it's already 7 months have passed. For us, everything is clear. We know what happened, and we can prove it. And we know that Russian officials knows what happened. And it's a question why they do not just do what any neighbor would have done. Our requests or demands are absolutely natural.
The president added that Azerbaijan's demands are a guilty plea from Russia, prosecution of those responsible, as well as financial compensation.
Where can you go to escape the heat? Climate refuges are becoming more of a solution. With a wave of intense heat gripping European cities, climate refuges are places that can offer the population some coolness and relief. Public parks and gardens, libraries, museums and schools are among places that are open during the day to receive people who are vulnerable to extreme temperatures.
O efeito de ilha de calor é intensificado nestas ondas de calor e acontece normalmente em cidades. Isto porque nós temos cidades que estão densamente construídas, temos muito alcatrão que faz absorver o sol e ao final do dia nós vemos que às 6, 7 da tarde ainda é possível estar muito calor, apesar de já não estar muito sol, porque o chão absorveu. Depois temos vários edifícios e muitas vezes ruas estreitas, o que faz que seja difícil o ar circular.
The city of Barcelona has served as a model for the rest of Europe, not because it was a pioneer, but what really makes the Catalan city a great example is the clear criteria for defining what a refuge is, according to this researcher.
Não é qualquer espaço que é automaticamente um refúgio climático. E eu acho muito importante que esses espaços realmente, para que eles respondam às necessidades dessas populações que são mais vulneráveis a temperaturas extremas, eles precisam realmente ter esses critérios mínimos, né? Que, como eu falei, precisam ter um espaço mínimo onde as pessoas possam sentar, possam beber água, possam utilizar o banheiro.
In Lisbon, where thermal discomfort in homes is a reality, the city council has not yet promoted the use of a cooling network. But data scientist Manuel Banzer has created an interactive map where you can consult spaces like fountain, lakes and municipal swimming pools.
Há uma grande amplitude térmica nas casas, e Lisboa é das piores cidades da Europa em termos de eficiência energética, o que significa que tanto no verão como no inverno as pessoas têm dificuldade a aquecer a sua casa ou a arrefecer a sua casa, e por isso há aqui uma responsabilidade municipal e pública de nós transformarmos o espaço público num espaço que seja uma extensão das nossas casas.
Além do desconforto, o calor também surge associado ao aumento da mortalidade. Portugal registrou 284 mortes em excesso entre 28 de junho e 3 de julho, durante o alerta de tempo quente. Joana Marão Carvalho, para a Euronews, em Lisboa.
Will the new EU long-term budget turn cohesion policy into a regional Hunger Games? For decades, cohesion funds have helped reduce regional disparities across the EU, supporting projects from modern roads to hospital upgrading and job training. But a major shift is around the corner. Under the proposed EU long-term budget, cohesion policy would be merged into a single mega fund, combined with other spending priorities. Many warn that this budget simplification could lead to fierce competition for resources, raising alarm bells among regional leaders.
This is what's happening with putting agriculture, migration, border control, cohesion policy into one bag, in one container. It would turn it to a Hunger Games, turning against the farmers, to the mayors, cities, turning against housing, unemployment, and agricultural subsidies.
Of the total EU budget of 2 trillion for the 2028-2034 period, 865 billion will be earmarked for the single mega fund that will merge other spending lines, including the EU's agriculture and fisheries subsidies, cohesion policy, and the European Social Fund, which supports employment and education across the EU. Beyond the funding raised, the new delivery model for these funds is seen as a move away from the EU's long-standing approach of shared management with local authorities.
It's a clear centralization, it's a clear top-down model, instead of being active part of designing and implementing the policies. So we will be kicked out from the design part, from the management part, from the creation part, and we will be just implementers fighting for money and putting it, farmers against cities and regions.
With many details of the proposal still unclear, the coming months will be crucial. Local governments are calling for greater involvement and a rethink before the final EU budget is locked in.
Protesters chanting and honking horns almost drowned out an entire interview made by Alternative for Germany Party's leader Alice Weidel. At times, both Weidel and the presenter had to lean forward to understand each other amidst the noise. The group, the Centre for Political Beauty, was behind the protest, which involved 25 people who equipped a bus with a powerful loudspeaker.
At least 17 people were killed and 11 others are missing after torrential rains triggered flash floods in South Korea. Thousands of people were evacuated from danger zones after heavy rain slammed the Korean peninsula for 5 consecutive days. The fast-moving water caused major damage to critical infrastructure, as well as to vehicles and properties in the southern town of Sancheong. Southern regions received between 61 and 79 centimeters of rain since Wednesday, swelling water bodies leading to the disaster.
Indonesian rescuers said on Monday that 3 people died and more than 560 were evacuated from a ferry that caught fire at sea a day earlier. Authorities previously said 5 people had died, but the National Search and Rescue Agency revised it to 3 after 2 passengers initially reported as dead were saved in a hospital, including a 2-month-old baby whose lungs were filled with seawater. A Coast Guard vessel, 6 rescue ships, and several inflatable boats were deployed in the rescue operation. Many survivors were pulled from the sea and taken to nearby islands. Local fishermen also rescued passengers found drifting in life jackets. Officials said the fire that began in the ferry's stern was extinguished within an hour. Being an island archipelago, ferries are a common mode of transport in Indonesia. Disasters occur regularly, with weak safety enforcement often blamed.
At first, we used the deep learning model to translate the brain signals into the intended words. And then we used the large language model to make the match of the decoded words and make up for the errors in the EEG decoding.
As scientists, we look at a medical condition and we look at what function has been affected by that medical condition. What is the need of the patient? We then address that unmet need through technology to restore that function back to what it was. After that, the sky's the limit.